What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. How you doing? I'm absolutely fantastic, thank you for asking, and welcome to another video. Obviously the title of this video is making this very obvious. We're going to talk about everything that I now feel that I've been on steroids and using steroids for the last 3 years now. I can't believe it's been so long. Feels like yesterday I made my first video of I'm not natural anymore, so this is kind of like a 3-year in the review of, you know, was it the right decision? Am I doing it right? Could I have done anything different? What are some of the things that I now feel like are in my life that potentially weren't before? And I think there's some important conversations to be had for a lot of those topics. So we're going to go for a workout, but we're going to kind of integrate this topic as we go through, get some raw footage of me working out as well, of course, just to keep a bodybuilding, because you know how we like to do it here. And we'll just work through it. And I think, you know, we'll be raw, we'll be honest. You guys know me, if you've been following me the channel for a long time, you guys know me that I speak it honest, speak it true. And for anyone who's new here, this is completely my experience. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, this is not for advice. You shouldn't use this advice in your own lives. This is completely just documenting what I'm doing and some of the things and the conversations that I've had to have with myself. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to say the most obvious thing first of everything I feel now on steroids. I feel a lot bigger. I was kind of 3 kilos off my all-time weight naturally, which is 100 kilos. I am now, as of this morning, 125.1 kilos. So that's like a pretty big improvement, 28 kilos. I would say that I'm probably very similar body fat to them as well. So I would say personally, it's been about 10 kilos of muscle a year. Over 3 years, 30 kilos of muscle. I'm pretty darn happy with that, just considering the structure and the way that we did that. We did a very, very slow build-up of the amount I use. I'm just trying to do it in the most careful way possible. So after talking about the physique, the 30 kilos plus gain, maybe a little bit more body fat. Sometimes it's hard to tell when you've put on so much muscle as well. You can't, because you look leaner because you've got more muscle, so it's hard to tell. But I would say very similar body fat, so 30 kilos there. In terms of strength, now I've just put three plates and a 10 each side of the Smith press. Yes, it's not a full 20 kilos. Yes, it's on a reverse band. Still a lot of weight. I couldn't even put 2 plates on this probably when I first started. Actually, I probably could. I remember I'd benched 150 for 1, 140 for like 2 maybe, and within a year of using anabolic steroids, I was probably benching 140 for 10. I probably haven't done a 1 rep max since I've started, but I was starting to rep those 1 rep maxes for 10, and now those are 150, 160 for 10, and beyond. So I'd say I'd probably put at least 20 kilo on every lift that makes sense to put 20 kilo on, like a dumbbell press. I remember I could press the 50s, I can now press the 70s. Like a dumbbell row, I probably could yank up a 50. I could probably do an 80 or 90 now. Things like bench press, got stuck a couple plates on. Things like shoulder press, probably stuck 2 or 3 plates on as well. So we've got significantly stronger as well as bigger. Now, those are the obvious ones. So we'll do this set and then we'll talk about some juicy ones. So then we can talk about things like financial burden. So I am now engaged in the world of anabolic steroids, so I therefore have to keep like spending money on that type of thing. So, you know, it's not so expensive when you first start, when you're just using testosterone, for example, because it's widely available. But when you start, you start to use growth hormone, you start to use primobolan, you start to use more of all of those things. Then the financial burden starts to roll up. And then we can talk about blood tests. You've got to get a blood test as well. Blood tests could be anywhere from 100 to 200 pounds. Do you want to be doing them every 8 weeks? That's something that you want to be doing year round. Then we could talk about echocardiograms that I've had. We could talk about kidney ultrasounds that I've had. I've spent thousands on this just to try and be as mindful as possible, while also being not very mindful by putting this stuff in my body. I understand the irony there. It doesn't mean you have to do all that stuff, but this is just some of the stuff that I do that's kind of changed in my life that I have to think about. And I think one of the biggest things is like the blood tests, the heart scans, the monitors. That stuff's kind of scary. That stuff's like a mental toll as well. Like I feel that on a level. I feel that. Like I feel the stress of, I have a heart palpitation. Oh my God, what's that? Is it because I take a steroids? I have a pain in my side from doing fucking side bends. And I'm like, is that my kidney stone from being on cycle too long? I have come back and I've got really bad cholesterol. And I'm like, oh, well, that's something I need to fix, but also I can't stop taking it. So all these like mental burdens that come along with the financial ones are really, they're equal. Yes, that costs a lot, but yes, this costs a lot. One of them's on your head, brain, one of them's on your wallet. So you've got to be very, very considerable that you might be like that. Not everyone's like that. There's a lot of people that aren't like that, which is why a lot of people get hurt by this type of thing. But for me personally, it's something that comes into my mind. I'm much better at dealing with it now because I understand the purpose. I've got a much clearer why. But let's not underestimate and ignore the mental stress of being on steroids. The actual stress of having a bad injection, going to the doctors because you've got heart palpitations, all those types of things, which you should be considering. So then we can talk about the cost of health. There is no two ways about it. There is not a safe way to do or use anabolic steroids, which is what a lot of people, they kind of hear people talk about safer use models. And Josh Bridgman started safe. Josh Bridgman doesn't use much. I've heard that like a few times, and I don't want to put people under the illusion that what I do is safe. It's definitely not safe. It's just more health conscious than perhaps just slamming it in you and not thinking about it is. Yeah, there's reasons behind things. There's ways that you can mitigate some of the damage. There is still damage. My blood work is still out. I'm still working my organs at a super physiological rate. I'm still running that red line quickly. I don't want people to be under the illusion that I'm the epitome of health. Bodybuilding is not a healthy sport, especially when you're using anabolics. Natural, of course, it's not healthy, but when you're using anabolics, it's even worse. So I don't want people to be under the illusion that you can do this safely. You can do it safer, but it's not safe. And the health cost is something that you're going to have to weigh up that cost to reward ratio, because it's not just you, it's what happens to you affects your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mum, your dad, your grandparents, whoever is your significant circle, your best friends, whatever it is. They will be affected by that choice. I don't want people to think, oh, it's my life, I can do it. It is, but there are people in your life that care about you, so you've got to be a bit conscious about that, but don't want people to think that it's safe. So something that I have to now think about, which I definitely didn't have to do 3 years ago when I was natural, is periods of time where things don't feel good. And that's when you're on a cruise, when you're on lower amounts of hormone. I've been quite fortunate and I haven't felt too bad. And I can very much get to the end of a cycle and be like, yeah, let's chill for a little bit. But that doesn't mean that you don't mentally feel those differences or emotionally feel those differences in terms of like not fucking being pumped, not walking in and being like, yeah, you monster. You feel that sometimes when, I remember feeling it when I was skinny and you have a big old pump and you're like, fuck yes. Like that feeling does not come around as much. Whereas when you're on cycle, nearly every day you feel like that. But that mental aspect is something that I never had to deal with before. Maybe like you feel a little bit worse for when you're cutting and stuff, but like I'm talking about like when you're in an off season, if you're eating good, training good, recovering good, you should be able to progress really, really well and feel good all the time if you're natural. Whereas if you're on cycle, of course you're going to. Whereas if you come off cycle, you'll feel that different. You're also going to notice, other things like maybe your output is less, maybe your motivation is a little bit less, maybe your sex drive is a little bit less. Maybe you notice you're not as on like a dog on heat. Because I certainly feel that when I'm on cycle sometimes. So there's a lot of things that will come back down to normal, or come back down to normal, but that normal doesn't feel normal anymore because you're so used to feeling superhuman for the last 4 or 5 months, however long you've been on cycle. Like that, coming off that superhuman feeling, you understand why this stuff's addictive, and you understand why people get lost in it and they want to keep doing it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm perfect either, but that's a real thing that you have to do when you're on cycle. It's a bit much on the old elbows. So a big question is, and I get this quite a lot when I do Q&As or talk about this online, and it's like, do you regret it? Do you regret taking the dip into the subs? And there are definitely days when I say, fucking hell, is it all worth it? But I do quickly say, yeah, it is, because I feel like I'm in the unique position that not a lot of people get to in their life where they really feel like they found what they want to do and they're here to do. And I feel like that's me, and I feel like I don't want to be caught wasting, I don't want to be caught slipping, slacking, I don't want to be caught not making a go of something that I dream about. And that's the biggest peace of mind for me, is that I can have those days where it feels like, fucking hell, you're like you do a job and it just kills you, or you see your blood work and you think, what am I doing? And you know that years and years and years of this is essentially just going to take years and years and years off your life. So it's one of those harder dreams for a lot of people to understand. So a lot of people watching this who do fitness, who do health and well-being will be like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you taking years off your life for? What, a plastic trophy? It's a lot more than that. Like, I think, like any Olympian will tell you, they ain't rich people. It's a little bit different in the extreme sports. They get a lot of money backing, but a lot of these people do this whether the money's there or not. And that's the same for me. There's only money at the very, very top and not in men's physique. You get 25 grand for winning the Olympia, being the best single men's physique person on the planet, 25 grand. So, like, that's not going to happen for a year, so you're not getting paid for that. Obviously, there's the indirect payments or whatever, but I don't need to do bodybuilding for that. I want to do it because it's that thing that I have. So at no point has the conversation ever ended with, yeah, I regret this, I wish I could go back, because at the end of the day, you can just stop. And if that comes into your brain at any point, like, just know that you can stop. You can stop and you can just pick up something else. That's not what you want to do anymore. And so for me, like, I constantly have that reassurance that I made the right decision, and I feel a lot more proud of chasing down something that I know that can leave a legacy and can leave what I want to leave on this planet. So, do I regret it? No. I don't. That is like somewhat a topic wrapped up. I mean, I'm probably missing a few things, like the things that you have to do differently, but like, there is a complete lifestyle change. There's also the concept that you may have to be using steroids for the rest of your life. You may have to be injecting for the rest of your life, especially if you're going to do it the way that I'm doing it, and it's kind of try be a pro, where you're probably going to be using steroids for 5 to 7 years, hopefully, maybe 10 years. I don't know how long you're going to do it. People do it for decades. The odds, the ability to kind of switch back online naturally and have your normal production of testosterone is probably quite small. So, this may be for life. This may be something that you've got to consider that is for life. But the most important thing I want you guys to consider is that just know these things and put them on a list, a metaphorical list, a real list, a list on your phone of what is the risk that you're taking, and then what is the reward. And is that reward enough for that risk? Because for me, yes, it is, okay? Because there's many, many reasons. My internal drive to be one of the best men's physique athletes is like 80% of it. And then there's like a little 10% that my career relies on it. There's another 5% that this relies on it, another 5% that this relies on it. And that ratio there for me works perfectly. I'm happy to take that risk. I say happy, I'm inclined to take that risk. But for other people, you know, their entry point of reward may be much lower. Mine is high. Like, I knew that I only wanted to do this stuff if I wanted to be the best. Some people just want to do it, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it to look good. That's fine. But just understand, where does your entry ratio stand? Where does your reward stand? What's the least amount of reward that you need in order for you to take the chances of the increase of all-cause mortality, heart rate, kidney failure, liver failure, becoming diabetic, running your organs on fucking overdrive for 10 years, and all the other things that we could list off, finance, for the rest of your life. Like, where's your entry point? And that's what I want you guys to understand. That's the conversation I have to have with myself every now and again, just to reaffirm that I'm doing the right thing. So that is kind of like where I'm at 3 years later. We talked about the size, we talked about the physical aspects, we talked a bit about the finance aspects, we talked a bit about the mental aspects, and just overall the risk to reward ratio, is it worth it for you? So I hope you guys enjoyed this honest video. I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. Let me know if you want to hear more about these. We can talk a bit more specifics. Got to be careful of how we word it. YouTube doesn't like it always, but we'll do the best that we can. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. We'll see you very soon. Peace and love, everybody.